sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. I'd like to give a speech in commemoration.
Alright. Oh, no laughing, sorry.
Commander Erwin Smith. Many words can describe him. Valiant, glorious, a leader. I have a few words I'd like to give.
Yeah.
But this won't do him justice.
Yeah, true.
All I want to say is he's the one who led us to the truth. He took us on this journey. Could have been his journey, but his journey became my journey. Became everyone's journey. So to you, I say thank you.
Thank you.
Do you clap?
There you go.
I don't think you clap at a funeral.
Oh, it's disrespectful to do so. Show some respect.
Erwin Smith. A man I did not see eye to eye with to begin with. But over time, through many trials and tribulations, with the Commons not being happy with me, with you guys questioning me about my takes on him, but over time, as I grew from a baby in the anime world, I also grew in my ability to interpret and view characters, so I began to see his necessity in this world. A man like Erwin Smith is needed during times of war, and his inspirations to millions and millions around the world. His speech truly touched my heart just before his death, and the sacrifice he did was so noble and progressed society in such a manner that it resulted in winning the battle for Shiganshina. I am seriously considering whoever the lucky lady is to have a son with me one day, that I will propose to her that his name will be Erwin Smith. Quite like.
No, you didn't.
As you can see, the room is quite emotional, so I shall keep it short and brief. Commander Erwin, is an example of a man who puts his emotions aside for the greater good so the mission can go on. His selflessness and dedication to the mission needs to be respected. A wise man once said, "Blessings don't come to you, they flow through you." Erwin is an exemplar of that. All I'm going to say is I'll keep it short and brief before I start crying. But Erwin, I thank you for being an example to millions of people around the world. And too much.
These guys have pretty much covered what I was going to say. But I'll just say that Erwin Smith was a very brave leader who, despite his inner battles, put humanity first in the end. Though he's gone, his spirit lives on in the comrades that carry on his fight. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Alright, so number one question, what was it?
Oh,
I'll
it
give
started
a
already.
reaction.
Wait, give me a second. Oh my god.
Oh, I got it. You meant positives to see.
Oh yeah, positives.
So I've written down. Alright, so number one, I just want to confirm something that I was saying that obviously Ronnie couldn't confirm, but I know deep down it's like Rowan's always right. Oh, Rowan's so
Just
amazing.
keep it brief, man.
No, shut up. It confirmed that Aaron is basically the show because his power is the Attack Titan, and the show is called.
Yeah, but you
the
can say
Attack
Aaron
Titan.
Kruger's also the main character then.
Alright, his name's Aaron, isn't it? So Aaron, that's
They're
what I
both
said.
named Aaron.
Exactly. So
Double
Aaron's-
entendre.
True.
Alright. So I love that. That was my positive. That was number one positive. Number two, every scene when you really think about it has a meaning.
Yeah.
More than that, just that scene itself, it's almost epitome for the whole show. Like these little dialogues that people have off the top of my head, I've got in my moments which will be coming up, but every scene that comes up, it personifies the whole show and the
Well,
themes
how's
behind
that
it.
any different to any other season we've seen? Like,
No, I think at the end of this season, what it did is it confirmed that for me, and like it made it more understandable.
do you think it was more frequent?
Yeah, I
than
think it
this
was. More, I
season?
think it was more
Yeah.
frequent, and it was more. I could understand it more because first couple seasons we were, especially first season, we didn't know what the hell was going on. We didn't know what was foreshadowing what. The word I'm looking for is foreshadowing. It foreshadows a lot. All right. Number two is
Number three.
number three is the balance between Yap and action and beginning to answer our questions. So they had enough. First part of season 3 was a bit of a yap fest, and I know some people got irritated because I was like, oh, "Why are they yapping so much?" But it was very informative, and I think having each other, it allowed us to understand it. And then it got to the action scenes of like season 3, episode 16 and on, right? So it had all the action. So I think there was a great balance in Alex. And bro, realistically, our questions we wanted were answered, most of them.
That's good. Okay.
Obviously not all of them, but some of them. And the last thing is just Aaron's growth in responsibility. I like that. That was positive as well.
Oh, I'll go. I'm very short. No, my thinking just goes off Rowan. Like, I'd say a negative for me in the earlier seasons, it wasn't even that big of a negative, but they were just posing a lot of questions, right?
Yeah.
What didn't get it irritating at times, but that's just, I understood that's the show, right? Like, this season, even though they've given us questions, it's like, they've answered a few as well. And like, I don't know, I feel more excited on this journey into the sea beyond now. I guess that also plays a part with season 1. How I said a negative was they kept on posing these questions, right? But it was like, what am I trying to say?
It was a big payoff. Like
big payoff. Sorry, that's what I meant.
all these questions.
Getting... When they get answered, it's almost like, oh wow, that was a positive.
Oh, the wait was worth it.
Yeah, the way they answered it as well was worth it. That's what.
All right, so season 3. So I had season 3 was extravagant, detail packed, and has a lot of full circle moments, like you said.
Yeah.
Right. From Erwin's speech to Levi's attack on the Beast Titan, it had a lot of acting as well as moments of inspiration and emotion.
Yeah.
So really, like the greatest thing about season 3 that was different to season 2 and season 1 is it made me think more. It made me like question my own moral compass as well.
No, that's beautiful.
You know what I mean?
Especially with Erwin.
Yeah, especially with Erwin, Levi, all that sort of stuff. So the greatest thing here for me, as much as I don't really like thinking much when I watch shows and things like that, I loved just being able to sit there and figure out information in our discussion. Yeah, hypothesize and figure out things in our discussions. Yeah. So that was the biggest positive. Right. So that's my season 3.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys just said, but I also think this season was a lot more tension building, if that makes sense. Like, it was like high stakes almost. So it's like...
The consequences were dire.
Yeah.
And another thing was the character development in this season was crazy for a lot of different characters.
I think this was the greatest season for that as well, character development.
I mean, I think this season just wipes 1 and 2.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, you could argue the first part of season 3, but
Yeah. I think that the second
We'll
part
get to that. We'll get to
the second part of season 3 made up for the lackadaisical start.
Lackadaisical.
Same thing.
all right. Next question is, so you know how we watched that end credit scene in episode 12? I
I'll
think?
start this one.
Yeah. So were you guys happy that you actually watched that, or what's your thoughts on it?
Alright, so basically, it was alright, because honestly, you don't really care, or you don't really remember the scene when you're watching the show, right? So it's like, in the moment, you certainly speculate a lot, and it's like, it's fun in the moment, right? It's like, oh, what's gonna happen? But realistically, we also didn't know anything at that moment. So it's like, we can speculate, it's just a lot of theories, just a lot of wishy-washy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it didn't take away from anything as well, because in the moment it was still, oh my god, that's what we saw before. It was still like that, right? So it's like, it was a foreshadowing, but it didn't spoil anything in that sense, because we didn't know what was gonna happen. So I didn't really care as well, because throughout that season, I'm not thinking about that moment, you know what I mean? Until it pops up.
Yeah, that's a good.
So I feel like the wow factor was amplified, if anything.
Do you think if you had rewatched that scene a bunch of times, it would have been different?
That's
though?
exactly what I was going to say.
You would have been picking up on like
my point.
Because they showed like Armin's dead body, like charred body and everything, like in little snippets there. You can't really make it out, but you can like theorize better, like make better theories, I guess.
So for example, exactly that point. I think watching it just once, I think it actually made me more confused because we were anything we were like, we knew, oh, why isn't there no Armin? So you kind of had a hint. So we were like, oh, where would be Armin? That's every scene that's like, oh, where's Armin going to be? Blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
I think that scene would have been more helpful, you could say, for lack of a better word, if we got to watch it a few more times. Then we would have been able to theorize better. Because even when we were theorizing, I remember the main things I saw was just Big Zeke sitting there and like just the fight between like Levi and Mikasa and Eren, right? So I think it was good. I don't think it was good or bad. I think it was just...
I'd say it did add like a shock value to you guys, though, right?
Because
you're like, how did they end up
I
this,
agree
you know
with
what I
that.
mean?
So like in the moment, exactly. In the moment it's good.
Yeah.
You forget about it until you see the moment again. You know what I mean?
You know, after we found out what it actually was, then that seeing that actually helped more.
Exactly, it
amplified it more.
Yeah,
I think if we hadn't seen that, because till we had seen that, we were more confused and had more clarity.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful point you give, because I think seeing that scene, I kind of realized the path they were going down. There's going to be a war where there's gonna be probably a bit of
like a
casualty,
choice.
blood.
Like someone made a choice. We kind of had we kind of had the thing. It was like someone made a choice and Levi got pissed off at the choice, but like you know what I mean.
So here's what I had. So I said the teaser was really good. Like you guys have said, it forced me to think and hypothesize. I think the greatest thing about this show, right, which I hated at the start, but I'm beginning to love from season 3, is uncertainty. The uncertainty factor. One that scene set the mood for uncertainty.
Yeah.
Right. Once you start off a season with that uncertain feeling, it sets a different kind of vibe because you're constantly anticipating things. Right. So that was the greatest part of that scene. I'm glad we watched that as well.
Oh wait, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So would you say that scene was almost in the? Were you conscious of that scene when you were watching?
Yes.
That's what I was worried about. So
But I thought it would be a bad thing, but it was a good thing.
I was not conscious.
I originally thought this was my thinking. I was actually like on the side of not showing you guys because I was like, you're gonna expect Levi to be alive at that point. You know what I mean? Like it was like the stakes were sort of gone.
Yeah,
but the fact that you guys didn't think about it too much.
I didn't even clock that because when he was like Titan hopping and like
because you're like, Levi's gonna be alive, Aaron's gonna be alive, Mikhail's gonna be alive.
Yeah.
Like, until we get to that point. You know
I
what I
actually
mean?
clocked that. I genuinely clocked
No,
that.
It's good that you guys didn't look
The
at it
scene
that
just
way.
wasn't in my head because when you're watching the show, you forget about it.
Yeah,
all.
facts.
I was thinking about it.
Until the moment arises. So I feel like that helped that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Well, actually, I get your point now because it's like now that I realize if Erwin's plan of Levi to die would work as well. We know that.
Because you're like you haven't seen the scene yet,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
they reunite. You know everything.
The key word is uncertainty. I think that's the
Yeah.
good thing about that scene.
All right. Next question. Who do you guys think is the real enemy right now?
I'll answer that. So I'll start with whichever side you choose, everybody, like what I realized from this is everybody will do what's best for them, right?
Yeah.
So there's no enemy. Everybody's enemies with who they perceive to be enemies. So like for example, you could argue the Eldians and the Marlians, the Marlians and the Eldians. You could argue like one is superior to the other, or the other superior to the other, right? But it's all about what you think is the correct decision. So the enemy is just themselves. Like the walls, like you said, I said this in the last discussion as well. The walls are like a symbol and the physical thing in the shot. Like the physical walls exist, but they're also a motif, like a symbol. That the fact that the walls are so grandiose, they never really go away.
It's tangible and intangible.
Yeah, it's tangible and
But do
intangible.
you think it's okay then to sort of contain these people because they're a different race and like put them in internment zones? And is that like a good thing or a bad
it depends
thing?
on how big the threat is that they pose, right? Like if the Titans really were these devious souls that took over everything, killed everyone off, the devil, then yeah, maybe that is the answer. But I don't know any better. Like I'm just gonna choose the side that I think is the mostly right.
So what side are you?
And that's what all the characters are doing. I think for now I'm looking at this from a middle. Like I'm in the middle right now. I haven't really chosen a side because we haven't seen enough. So
is that because you haven't seen enough of the Marlians?
Yes,
You
I haven't
haven't
seen
seen
enough of the
outside,
Marlians. Correct.
So the thing I've written down here is the real enemy is basically the Marlies because they basically weaponized and controlling basically Titans for their own agenda, and they've almost created a prison which is because the war is like Wall Rose is called Paradise there, yeah.
The place they're in is called
The
Paradise.
island.
Yeah, the island
yeah.
is called Paradise.
So Paradise, and so they've almost created almost a prison, and they've wanted the power to control a certain narrative.
Yeah.
So I think the real enemies are actually Marlies.
Okay. So for me, you guys couldn't said he couldn't have said it better. Depends on which side you look at it from.
Correct.
But from what I've seen, people of Mali are the enemies, right? Sadly, there's no Dad Corporation as of yet, right?
Oh yeah.
But I also believe that the founding king's ideologies are also a bit flawed as well, from what I've seen, right? But I've gone on this journey with these characters. Like, obviously, I haven't seen enough from these Mali people, right? But the memories I've seen of Eren and how he perceives the other world, right? You also got to perceive that, like Rowan said, the grass isn't always greener on the other side as well, right? It could be, but I'm anticipating that's not based off what I've seen. So I'm going the people of Mali are bad.
Okay.
What do you guys think the Beast Titan meant when he said he was going to rescue Eren and that he'd been brainwashed by his father?
Before we start with you mentioned Beast Titan.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I said the long hair and everything looked like Grisha?
Yeah.
That's your son. So there was a bit of
You know what's crazy? Remember the glasses? He was wiping the glasses.
Exactly.
Like,
It's,
just
bro,
like
it's
Grisha.
just like it was literally like Grisha aura. We said he had
You
aura.
know,
like Grisha.
Rod, you also said something along the lines of he's related. You didn't say related, but he was like he had some sort of connection with someone in the walls. You
Yeah,
said that.
yeah, exactly, bro.
So-
exactly.
You're right about that. Yeah.
So
I don't know about
No, he
aura.
wasn't right.
I don't know about
It was a bit
I don't-
out of nowhere.
He wasn't right.
I don't
He
know about
wasn't
the
right.
aura of Grisha because I don't think he has the
does
same
have the
aura
He
as
does
Grisha.
not have the aura of Grisha at all.
What are you talking about?
Zeke is
He
way
has the
chiller
aura
than
of
Grisha.
Kenny. We said Kenny.
Yeah,
he has the
said
aura
Kenny.
of Kenny. That's what we said. Not
You didn't
Grisha.
even know Grisha until that point.
You know who
Yeah,
has
we
aura?
did.
You know who has aura? Aaron Kruger. That guy had aura,
Facts.
bro. That guy had aura.
Nah,
This is
bro.
how you use the
We
title.
were talking about. I was talking about
The
Kenny.
owl.
Kenny and him had a similar sort of aura. That's
Yeah,
what I
it
was
was
saying.
Kenny.
All right. So I believe, so how he's going to appeal to Aaron is obviously coming through the you're my half brother type of thing. So that's the notion that he's going to come with. But so I've written down here. He believes that Dad brainwashed both of them to fight for the Eldians because just like Zeke almost repented that ideology, right?
Yeah.
And went against him. He thinks he's going to try to do the same thing with Aaron and make him see the other side. And then I think, so what I've written down here, I think what Zeke will do is appeal to Aaron's youth and try to turn him and give him to buy into a greater message that it's actually a part of Zeke's plan though. Zeke's own plan to conquer, and he realizes he'll probably need Aaron. So because once again, the show's name's Attack Titan. He's powerful. He's the most powerful thing here. And I think Zeke knows that, so he's going to try to use Aaron and brainwash him to believe what he wants to believe. And once again, maybe some things that won't change in the show is the whole time Aaron's being used as a tool. He hasn't known what's going on. Maybe this will continue in season 4. Just as we think Aaron's actually in control of everything, he will actually remain a tool in everyone else's game, which will now also be Zeke's own game. So he remains a tool in Zeke's game. But we'll see if he tries to break out shackles.
Let me go next to add on to your point, right? I think a key term for Zeke, he's called the War Chief Zeke, right? He's not the King Zeke. He's not the leader. Remember, these 9 Titans of Ymir's subjects or whatever, they're almost the Marleys don't like them.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? The Marleys do not like them. So he's like Zeke himself has been brainwashed as well, I believe.
So he's like a puppet.
He's a puppet, right? He got took when he was young, right? He's the one who's been brainwashed, and so his ideologies align with the people of Mali, right? But the thing I'm curious about was, did he ever give thought to what Grisha was telling him about when he was a revolutionist, right? Did he actually ever think about it? Because when we saw flashbacks of Grisha, we realized he never actually listened to what his dad said. The Marleys could be correct, but he was, my dad's wrong, I don't like my dad, let me go to the revolutionist. Even when he was a revolutionist, we didn't see any inner dialogue of him conflicting with, oh, is this right, is this wrong? He was dead set on the revolutionist until he met Aaron Kruger and realized, right? Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. I reckon Zeke's going to try his best to rescue Aaron and all this thing, but I think Aaron's going to give him a speech and make him realize that the Marleys are wrong.
So you think
and convert
you think he's going to switch and Aaron's actually with the one to brainwash him?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's what
that's
maybe. So
because wait, Aaron's the main character.
Yeah.
He is.
Aaron's the main character.
Yeah, he is. Zeke chose the Marleyan side, right? So the brainwashing I think he's talking about is setting up scenarios that allows Aaron to be an Eldian. So example like...
He's already an Eldian.
He already is an Eldian.
Sorry, Marleyan, right? So, for example, Grisha, like, birthing him into the wall, showing, like, the despair of the Titans, the key, putting it around him, and also, I think Grisha set up everything, like, for example, Mikasa and Armin being around him. Like we said, it's all orchestrated, right? Grisha himself defied the orders of his father. But later we found out his father was trying to, like, he knew about the plan. He probably knew about the owl as well, right? So this was all like a ploy. So I think Zeke is what Zeke's gonna do is like what you said, try to get Aaron onto the Marleyan side, right? And that's his mission. But I think, like I said before, we don't actually know who's right here. Like we haven't seen the Marleyan side of things. So I want to see why Zeke actually chose that side.
I think hopefully in season 4 we get backstory on Zeke.
Yeah.
Like why he's the way he is and stuff.
Yeah, we need to know about the Marleyans more because I'm not going to sit here and...
Because Zeke only changed when he was young, remember? He was a youngin' when he set up Dinah, whatever, and Grisha. He was young, remember? He just pointed...
It's crazy how he picked a side at that age, though.
And I'm also interested because they foreshadowed, you know how Zeke was playing with the little baby monkey?
Yeah.
And how he actually turned into the monkey as well.
Yeah.
Because that's like the most unique Titan out of all of them.
I don't think it was a foreshadowing because that was after he was already a beast Titan.
No, it wasn't. It's
Yeah.
when they
He
were
was a
going for
kid.
subjects of Ymir.
Yeah.
They wanted people for subjects of Ymir.
He would have been dead by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I just meant in terms of the
Just
show,
beast
like
Titan.
how they showed it in the show, but yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So,
No,
like,
I
because
get
first...
He would have been dead. But wait, so when he pointed the finger at Grisha and Dinah, he hadn't actually become the Beast Titan yet.
Well, he would have been dead by... Yeah, he was way too young for that.
Oh, so he did that without... Oh my god.
He did what?
He handed in Grisha and dinner without even knowing the power of the Beast Titan. He simply just learned the truth and was like, my dad's wrong.
What they
Yeah,
said,
so it must
what
be
they said,
granddad.
just I'll remind you of the
yeah.
dialogue. They said he chose to protect himself and his grandparents. That's all they said.
Oh, his
Or maybe,
grandparents.
maybe like his grandparents told him something.
Grisha's dad.
Grisha's dad.
That's what Grisha's dad hated. He didn't like. Grisha doesn't like his own dad as well.
But
Yeah, because Grisha's dad's ideology sides with the Malian.
Yeah.
He was a passive. Remember, he was passive.
Yeah.
He didn't want to engage.
Facts. Oh, that makes beautiful sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Next one.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Bro, I was dozing off.
We're not that boring, mate.
Yeah, come on, Ronnie.
All right. How do you guys predict the relationship between the Survey Corps and the outside world will evolve in season 4? And how do you think the Survey Corps will react to this new threat that is Mali?
Let me go first.
Yeah.
Seeing as Eren will lead the charge, I think the people of Mali are in for a pounding and a half. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll leave
I
it
want
at
to
that.
bring up something.
You
all right.
do remember that Mali has a lot of the Titans, and they
Yeah.
have to,
Listen,
but-
listen,
oh, yeah, I'm
listen,
just
listen,
letting you know.
listen, listen.
All right.
I want.
They're in for this and this.
I want to bring something up because a spoiler we've had is before we started the show, everyone loved Levi, and if I'm going to be honest,
You tell me you can't love him.
no, I love him so far. But I want to see a little bit more. Like, Levi's just a beautiful fight. Every scene we love of Levi, this fight scenes are the best in the show. I want to see some like Levi.
Bro,
I want to see some.
They've given us a lot of Levi.
No,
There was a lot of
They've
Levi.
been showing his emotions like
Bro,
this whole season.
no,
His
but-
choice of choosing Erwin.
Nah, but I want to see more Levi.
But by the way, how does this have anything got to do with the question?
Question, yeah.
No.
Survey Corps.
Oh yeah, no.
Say that for characters,
no,
buddy.
no. Fine.
Or
No,
negatives.
as in Survey Corps,
Yeah.
because I think because the ending of the last season, it showed his emotions. It showed his like. I think hopefully, because to beat these Marlins,
Yeah.
they need the greatest fighter of all time. Yeah. And who is that, Mr. Levi? So I want to see this season him like. His action, him fighting a war that he doesn't, because realistically, Levi's just fighting other people's
He's never
wars.
cared.
He's fighting other people's wars. He fought for Owen. Now he's gonna fight for Eren. Like realistically,
Nah, I think different because I think now Levi, once he saw the sea, right? I think actually ultimately Erwin rubbed off on him, and so did Eren,
And
Mikasa,
Mikasa, Armin as
and
well.
Armin.
he's like a combo of two.
I think it's like I think he's dedicated to the truth now as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants to find what Erwin couldn't find.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So-
he wants to go down that journey as well. I
Okay,
think.
so here's what I'm saying, right? So every idea, remember, causes divide. So Survey Corps will use Eren's information to follow his lead, but the divide can cause a lot of havoc, right? So Mali will be attacked and fear will arise, but I think Eren's sharing that information to everybody, because he hasn't divulged, I don't think he's divulged 100% of it just yet, right? So once that goes out to everybody, that'll naturally cause divide between the
But
people.
what do you think he's holding back?
I think he's holding, like for example, you know when he was standing on the sea and he was looking into the distance? What was the dialogue he said?
He said, "If we kill our enemies,
Yeah.
on
Will
the
we
other
still be
side,
free or
we'll-
something?
We'll be
Yeah, will we still be free?
Finally,
With
be
the
free."
question mark.
We will be finally be free. So I think first thing is they need to find out about the enemies. On the process of finding out about the enemies and learning their history, I think there'll be some traitors in the squad that are going to be like, wait, we're actually wrong. So they're going to be like Grisha's dad. They're
Do
gonna be like-
you not think Eren's already told him everything that's happened?
I don't think so. Because
What makes you say that?
Because
Yeah.
even that last scene where he's like talking about is the enemy, will we be free? It was like a rhetorical question.
Oh.
I just didn't think it was like he's divulged all of it.
You know, even they were showing like they were.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he.
Not
fully,
all of it,
no,
but the main parts on to make Mali the bad thing.
I don't think he's fully told them because think about it, when they saw the sea, they're all playing all happy and stuff, and he was just
Yeah,
there all
exactly, that's
serious.
what I mean.
It's like the juxtaposition of
Yeah,
that.
'cause they wouldn't
he-
be happy
Yeah,
like
because
that.
they wouldn't be happy like that if they knew there was an enemy beyond the sea as well. That he would have told them.
No, but you also got to remember they've never seen. They were purely just enjoying the sea for what the sea was.
No, bro.
Right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It was because they've never seen water before. Owen, like
No,
that.
but
It's a
They
body
haven't
of
seen the
water.
shackles.
I agree-
I don't think they've seen the shackles. If Eren told them the truth, they
Yeah,
would
I'm
have
about
seen
to
the
say,
shackles.
Eren would have told him that the grass isn't green on the other side. Think about why he said the Patriot. They didn't kill the Titan. That's why Flock is an important character. He was questioning her. That's why I brought it up. He knew they were Patriot, and they listened because he told him about how his dad got the.
All I'm
bird
saying
cut.
is, I don't think they understand the degree to how much power and how much influence the Malians have. They probably think it's just another
100%.
enemy like the Titan.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
agree,
they're
I
happy.
agree.
But you
So
think
Eren
Eren-
hasn't told them the
You think
degree.
Eren understands that?
I think Eren does because he's
You
got Grisha's
know
memory.
what? You know.
But he doesn't want anyone to die. So why would not get him prepared almost?
No, it's a good idea to keep the information to himself. I would agree with that. I don't
Why?
think,
You're saying
because
it's
that,
going to
that
create a divide.
because that's going to cause stress and havoc, and people are going to start rebelling instead of focusing on the mission. Because then they'll think for themselves. That's what, like, as a leader, like the sad truth is, you kind of want people to play into your game a little bit. If you start talking too much and giving too much information out, it's like what Erwin did in this season. How towards the end of the speech, like, I mean, he did reveal the truth actually, but
He told him
he told him the whole truth.
You can relate it to what Hanji wanted to do. Like, you know how Hanji was like, this whole time she's been about like, you know, oh, they didn't tell us this, they didn't tell us that, and then at the end she's like, oh, we should keep this information to ourselves.
It's
so
like
we
the
don't create
king
havoc.
brainwashing everyone in the walls.
Yeah, exactly like that.
To not create the divide.
Well, are you talking? He's not telling everyone in survey core. He's not telling everyone in the walls.
Both.
I honestly, I don't care about the walls. The walls are non-existent. Those people in the walls, they're non-existent.
They're just
to me.
puppets in the
They're
show.
they're sieves. They're civilians.
No, I think it all comes down to what's going to happen within the survey corps thing. I think it all comes down to Eren and his emotional control once he
He's in the moment.
Once he's in the moment,
I agree.
and will that create divide? Obviously, Mikasa will always stick by his side, but it's like, will the others, right? Because for example, for the others, the sea is what they wanted to get to.
Exactly.
The sea is
That's
the
why
end.
you saw Armin was so happy.
That's why they took the sea for what it was.
Exactly. So-
it was just a body of water that
So
they've
it's
never
like
seen.
if they're gonna fight the Marleys and stuff now, are they fighting their own war or are they fighting Eren's war?
I agree. That's what I agree
And
with.
he's gonna let them enjoy that moment of peace and
he
serenity
convinced
as
them.
well.
That's why I was.
Exactly. He's convincing, but I don't think a lot of them. They all want to be. They all want, like, for example,
You think they're all content?
Everyone was willing to fight for Erwin because they were fighting for a mission that they didn't know yet
Yeah.
to get to the sea,
Yeah.
right, for freedom.
Yeah.
But now they've got to the sea. Now it's like, all right, I finished my mission, but now you're telling me to do another one
I think
for Eren
I
for
think-
his Marleys.
You know the divide you're talking about. I think that occurs when people like it's how willing they how far they're willing to go for the truth, right? Some people like Erwin are willing to die for it.
Yeah.
Probably Eren and maybe Levi from what I saw at the beach because he was the only one. He looked ready. To me, you know how you talk about Levi, right? Levi looks ready.
Yeah.
Levi looks ready. He wasn't smart. He knows what's ahead. Him and Eren know what's ahead, right?
Yeah.
These others, I don't think they care as much about the truth as they do about living a contentful and happy
Blissful
life.
life.
Yeah.
I see what you guys are saying, but also remember that it's not that they have that choice of like, going out or not now that they've cleared the island, because you know that Marley's still coming after them.
True.
They're still sending Bertol, Ryan, they're still. They're not, you know what I mean?
They're still
Like,
going
So still, there's still the war is not finished.
The war's not
war's
finished.
still happening.
They
just
actually can't
starting,
choose to like
technically.
sit in peace.
It's technically just starting. They're about to go to war.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, actually, you know what? Scrap that. I think it's all on Eren. Like
I agree. I actually do agree.
It is
on
all on
Levi.
Eren.
You know, he said Levi. That's a very good point. I think Levi is about to have a crazy arc as well because he looked ready. He was in boots. He didn't even go in the water. He's not
I
content.
want to see
He's not
Eren and Levi at their full capacities fighting.
Both of them
Oh.
fighting together, like it'd be crazy.
Oh.
Next, yeah.
Alright.
Batman and Robin.
Let's go with
Levi's
top 3
Batman.
characters. Let's start with number 3 first, and then go back.
Wait, like before you say that, between Eren and Levi, who do you think would be Batman? Who do you would be Robin?
Levi would be Batman.
No, Levi's
No,
Robin.
Levi would be
Levi's
Robin.
Robin any day. Though.
Why?
Levi is.
Purely because Eren has more power.
I think.
Yeah.
I think. Levi dropped down my rank. We'll explain to him when we get to
Eren
that.
and-
Let's just
Levi.
do our top 3 characters.
Yeah. Alright, I'll start, alright? So,
Just
Start
the
with 3. Start with 3
Start
and
with
then go
three, yeah.
backwards. Let's do that.
so number 3 for me this season.
We always do that, don't we?
Who is
No,
who is
we always
number
go
1
for 3.
on my season 2 is Armin. So
Season 3.
season 2 he was number 1.
Oh.
This season he's number 3. So Armin, he's the emotional healer and the strategist who went from the unsure boy to a leader this season, right? So as a viewer, it's good to see the evolution rather than like someone who's already formed. Like for example, characters like Erwin, they're already established. We know they're big. We know they got big nuts, right? I think as a human, as a viewer, like looking at someone who's weak and contrasting that with them going from weak to strong is so good to see. Like that's because it provides hope. It's relatable. And it's just good to watch as a viewer, right? So that's Armin, number 3. Number 2 is Levi. So I have Levi high this season. So he's the fearsome warrior with a very strong moral compass. I love Levi's moral compass. I really, like he's very like to himself, but at the same time you can tell he's very caring.
Very
he feels
emotional.
he's very emotional. He feels emotions very deeply, but at the same time he knows how to put them to the side and go for the mission. So Levi is amazing, right? Erwin is number 1. Like, I don't even need to say why. The sacrifice, the speech, putting his greatest desire in life aside for the betterment of others. That's a really noble act, and it's not easy to do. So Erwin is number 1. So that's top 3 for me.
Alright, so number 3 for me, I'll start with Erwin. So his leadership, the sacrifice, and mainly I got him on this list because when it comes to my favourites as a character, he's never been my favourite, but I had to put him in because of the respect I have for the man. That speech and that battle and his just sacrifice, I think that's just admirable, and you'd be stupid not to have him in your top 3. Number 2, I have Eren. He's actually gone from being number 1 both my early seasons to 2, partly because at the start of season 3 he was a wuss. Like obviously he was caged up, but like the internal battle, obviously it was good for his character development that we saw later on. But at the start he was kind of like, I was like, shut up Eren, stop being like a pussy and just like, you know what I mean, do your thing. Alright? But his growth from being the hothead to now his burden of having the responsibility and choice, I think that growth in the character development, like once again, he's my boy. Number 1 of this season, I actually have Kenny. Alright? He is the epitome of aura. I think his quote where he said everyone is a slave to something, I think that encompasses the whole show and everyone's motives. I think that was the most powerful show in the whole, one of the most powerful quotes in the whole show. And I think he also embodies the human ambition, like everyone's own like morals and their own things to do, and power. And basically that foreshadowed the whole show as well. Everyone has their own motives, but what's good for everyone. And then that also shows his like the juxtaposition. He's a very good character that shows the juxtaposition of every character. And then he's also very brutal. He's a great fighter, but he's also very introspective. And he also has unexpected moments of vulnerability throughout the show with Levi, and his backstory, which I think touched me. And I think overall, Kenny has been one of my favourite characters in this whole show.
So number 3 for me is Kenny. Pretty much for all the reasons Rowan just said. The only reason I wouldn't have him higher was simply I just didn't see him long enough, right? Like, but for someone to have that impact in such a short duration it's like the Jordan. Like the peak is very high, you know what I mean? Number 2 is Erwin. Now, I've loved Erwin since the start of this show. I'm surprised myself I don't have him number 1, right? But from the speech to the war to everything this man encapsulates, right? Like, you can't not have him in your top. Like, for me, he is the epitome of the Scout Regiment. Find the truth and do whatever it takes. Like, he embodies that spirit to me. Yeah. And number 1 for me is Levi, right? Because contrary to Rowan, right? He said he's going to take a leap. Yes, he's going to take a leap in the next season. I feel like this season was monumental for him.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
From him choosing Armin and like us seeing almost not the vulnerability, but his thought process, his mindset into it. But then him flipping the switch and going to kill all those Titans to avenge his boy Erwin, right? I saw a bit of Eren in there as well, in the reckless nature. But it's like, he's cool when he's reckless, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
facts.
he's the embodiment of everything in that sense.
100%.
He's the guy you want to have on your team, but hate to verse.
Yeah,
he's the definition of that.
The contrast. He has the juxtaposition. He's
I guess you could say. But like to me, he is the definition of the player you go out to get, but you don't want any other team to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the game changer almost.
Yeah, true.
For me, I won't even go into it because you guys have already covered it. I'll just say number 1 is Erwin.
Yep.
Number 2 is Levi, and number 3 I put Historian. Now you guys look bored like, oh yeah, why put Historian? Trying to be.
She had an insane arc.
No, but
going from that to
listen,
the Queen.
I don't like enjoy seeing Historian on the screen. It's not like I'm like excited by that, but
The story.
I think in terms of the story, the writer spent a lot of time developing her character, especially in part 1.
Yeah.
Where she sort of comes to her own,
Yeah.
and she opposes her father.
She does.
She rejects power
Yeah.
and all the ideologies that are forced onto her, and she makes her own choice of becoming queen. You know, comes to terms with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest steps that any character.
I
in the
agree.
show
And
has
if we're
taken.
talking about like noble acts and stuff, she didn't have to become queen. She didn't.
Yeah.
She could have stayed in the Scout Regiment. And all. She decided to uphold the mantle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of disappointing that a character like Mikasa hasn't been given that same sort of like.
We'll get into it.
Right,
It's a shame because someone like Historia gets that much development, and one of the
Facts.
main like aspects of the show Mikasa
Facts.
doesn't.
Oh,
Like Mikasa was my number 1 in season 1,
Yeah.
and coming to this point of the show, it's like
Right, we haven't
She's
even
not even
seen her.
existing on my list this
yeah,
season.
bro, it's like
She was number 1 like last season as well.
That's crazy though.
even last season she was.
Actually, no, Armin was
After
number 1. She was
season
number
1,
2
it was
last season.
yeah, it's a shame. But,
Alright, Ronnie, what's the next one?
oh yeah, top 3 moments.
I'll start it off.
Yeah.
Number 1 is Erwin's speech, but Erwin's whole arc of when he was on top of the wall and like he
Just
didn't even.
dazing into the
Yeah,
distance.
like a scene I remember a lot is when Bertolt transformed. He didn't even care. He looked at the beast like what he's playing. Like it's always a bigger picture with him. Right?
Stoicism.
Yeah. And then that's I'd pair that with Levi's killing spree as well because that's part of his plan, right? It's part of the speech. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm combining
If
that.
you
I'm
want to combine
combining
it,
that.
combine it.
Number 2 for me is Grisha and Aaron Kruger on top of the thing where we basically learned everything.
Yeah.
We got the mic drop with the Mikasa Armin. Where are these memories coming from? Finding out how Grisha got the founding titan. Finding out about Dina, all that. And number 3 for me, top 3 moment. I think it's a big part of this season, kind of. But Eren finding out he has 8 years to live only, or not even,
Oh,
as he
yeah,
said.
that was, yeah.
Big reveal.
I feel like that's going to be his motive as well for the next season as well. Because it's like, a lot of people don't have the urgency that he's got to have. Because he's going to die.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like that's going to shape his mindset as well.
Is that your 3?
That's my 3.
Alright, so my number 1 scene was, I think this man Levi, he's very hard to be in my top 3 characters, but he's always in my top 3 moments. Alright, that Titan hopping scene, and then I combined 2. The Titan hopping scene and then Erwin's sacrifice, like the way he's charging
Yeah.
and he dies. I think you combine that into
Basically what I
one.
did.
Yeah. I think number 2 was Kenny's dying scene and his vulnerable moment with Levi.
Yeah.
I think that was powerful. Just because I loved Kenny as a character, that really touched me. And then number 3 was a Zeke ear scratch. Because I'm telling you,
When he was squatting.
when he was squatting, like you know what I mean? Alright, because we don't know much about Zeke, but he's another time using the word aura-mogged. We don't know much about him, but every time he's come on, he's acted as the war chief, the most hard name in the show. That ear scratch is like, it creates mystique into him, which we haven't found out yet. But I think that was one of those moments, combined with like Erwin looking at him, because when Erwin looked at him, he scratched his head. It's like, who does this boy think he is? Right? It's like, I think it was such a beautiful scene, and I just felt G'd up when I saw that. So,
I can't lie, the real Aura Mogger is Levi.
Yeah, Levi.
Peace Time ran
Levi's
scared of
the
him.
epitome of
He
war.
ran scared of him.
Oh, yeah.
He ran scared of him.
That's
Ran
facts.
scared of him.
How do you run?
How do you
scared?
not have Levi number 1?
Yeah, I don't understand.
He was number 1 moment. His Titan hopping
I don't
moment.
care character, man.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
Moment.
Alright, I don't even know how you guys didn't have this on your number 1 or number 2 or whatever. Armin's sacrifice. Oh my god, I was so speechless. I couldn't actually speak. I was like, I had tears coming down, but I was just starstruck, right? Armin for me is like, I relate with Armin so much. I love his character. So that sacrifice for me was the greatest scene. Number 2 was Erwin's speech, as usual. Great. I was motivated myself. I was going to run through that wall right there if Ronnie didn't stop me. Right, so that's number 2. Levi's kill is so, like, his kill and his fight with Kenny. Those 2 things,
Like kill.
his kill on, no, not kill, like, when he took-
Versus Beast Titan.
versus Titan versus Kenny as well.
Yeah, that
when he's
chair-
flipping tables
the
and
chair.
Oh, the chair scene,
The
yeah.
chair.
Dude, that was oh my
yeah,
days.
yeah, I forgot about that.
I could not.
I was gonna have it, but I couldn't.
I think that is the epitome of action in anything I've ever seen. That was amazing. Like I was taken aback. So that's 3 for me.
You know how you said that Armin scene? That was one of the most powerful moments, but you know why? I think it would have been my top 3 moments if Armin died.
Yeah.
I think that didn't hit me because they almost like fooled us.
Yeah, that's
'Cause
true as well.
If he wasn't, because he's alive now, that moment doesn't
in
hold
hindsight, it's not.
in hindsight, it
hitting.
doesn't have that.
Yeah.
I think I'd agree. In the moment, though, that
Yeah,
scene
in
was
the
the most
moment-
powerful.
in the
'Cause
moment,
that would
I
be
was
top
like-
3 moments in the scene. But looking back in hindsight, now we're doing the season review after we know what's happened. I think that scene doesn't hold that much power anymore because he didn't actually sacrifice himself.
That's true. That's true.
So I think,
But the intention.
was
yeah, I'm just
definitely
going.
top
I'm
1
just going
moment.
spur of the moment.
Yeah,
that was
but
insane.
definitely in the moment, bro, we all felt that. I felt
my
that
God.
insanely.
I was
That goosebumps
going
was crazy.
Alright, my number 3 was Levi versus Beast Titan. Number 2 was probably Erwin's charge, I'd say. We gotta watch that in dubbed. Apparently in dubbed it's absolutely elite. That scene's one of my favorite scenes in any TV show or movie I've ever
That
watched.
was crazy, man.
No, it's number 2. Okay, it's only number 2. Alright, I'll say what my number 1 is. My number 1 is Levi versus Kenny. That fight scene.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I feel like
tables flying and stuff.
For-
Yeah.
Not even the tail flying, it's just when you like swing around OEM,
Yeah.
because I feel like first time watching you don't really pay attention to it that much, so you can't really like appreciate it.
Yeah.
When you watch it for the second time, you realize, like, if you guys go rewatch it now, you realize how good the animation is in that. Like, it's insane. And Levi versus Beast Titan would have been first for me if it wasn't the second time. I've seen that fight like way too many times, so it's like it's not the same for me.
Honestly, I feel like it would have just. That would have been one of the greatest scenes I've ever watched. Period in any show if he killed him. If he killed the beast,
He hesitated because of Owen. That's the only reason he hesitated. He could have finished him off.
Yeah, that's true.
He Levi built his whole squad around not hesitating, and then in that moment,
fact.
he had that. Remember, he had that little glimpse of Owen. He's like, unfortunate. All right, I think that's about it.
Negatives.
Oh yeah, negatives.
Let me-
And we need a rating actually. Yeah,
Oh,
true.
Okay, let's keep it brief.
Do negatives.
Because there's not that many I can think of.
For my negative, honestly, them going to the basement was underwhelming for me. I have to say, the actual scene of going to the basement,
Yeah.
that felt underwhelming to me personally, right? I said that's a negative. And another negative is Mikasa, her transitioning, and we haven't got much from her.
Mikasa was like,
we haven't got much.
I would like to see more.
She's been there.
100% agree. I think the part I would say, the whole scenes of where like Eren was in the cage, he was caged up in the ice area.
Yeah.
I understand that was very informative and very transformative how this season turns out and the information we get.
Yeah.
But realistically, I was kind of like...
It was exposition. It was a lot of info dump.
Yeah, it was very much an info dump. So that, to me, that was a negative, but I understood the purpose of it. Just like a character like Erwin, I didn't... You know what I mean?
You didn't appreciate it first, but later on you realize
how important it is. And then also a beautiful point with the basement. We were literally looking for the basement. They were there for 2 minutes.
But not just that. No music, nothing. Oh, the key doesn't work. Oh,
There's a
break
book.
it.
Yeah, it's like just do this. It's under.
The information inside was good, right?
No, but
the actual build up to it, like I needed more suspense.
What was in those books?
Everything they found out.
What
Grisha's
what
whole
Grisha was talking about. Oh, like with that memories. All the memories
do
Eren
they know
has.
about the ideology of the Marleans as well? Then?
Yeah, because of the book.
Yeah,
that's why I said the whole survey corps knows everything.
But obviously from a biased point of view because it's Grisha's book. But anyway, yeah.
No, it's
you're 100%. But the divide between the group that you're talking about, there's not going to be that much conflict.
I
They know about the patriotism and all that.
Exactly,
I thought the book is what allowed Eren to have the memories that he has.
It might have. We don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking.
And then Eren divulged it after.
So then what the hell's the point of the books, Ron? There's just nothing in there. It's just paper.
That's true.
You're right.
Alright, for me, the biggest negative was Levi's fight being shortened. I want to see those fights go on for honestly, the whole episode. Bro, those fights are crazy.
No, but it's like
it's not a negative.
No, it's like the less we have it, the more we appreciate it.
That's true as well. But I would have liked to see a little bit more with those scenes, right? That's one. Number two is I would have liked to see more Owen in that season. He was present.
Dead.
Yeah, but he was present that season. Towards the end, he came in. But I would have liked to see more of him at the start as well. Just a little bit more into his mind.
But realistically, bro had a broken arm, top of arm.
He was on trial.
He did everything he could.
On trial.
His speeches, he could only actually his words. There couldn't be any fight scenes of Erwin. There couldn't be anything. It was just.
And this whole Rod Reese at the start of this season.
Oh, Rod Reese.
He was on trial.
Rod Reese.
I thought that fight was underwhelming. I'll be honest, that fight where Rod Reese goes into the walls and they're fighting, that was so underwhelming. I didn't
also
like
that Historia scene, the Rod Reese, she just finds the one perfect one, and she goes, it's a bit.
I think the whole arc of Rod Reese was.
It was kind of. I was expecting it to be massive. It was very anticlimactic.
I didn't really rate it.
Could have been better.
Yeah.
Alright, you guys just gotta rate. My nose is bleeding, but we carry on.
The grind
rate the season.
Turning into a titan, Ronnie.
Oh, shut up.
Oh, true.
Rate the season.
He's a beast toy.
I rate it 9.7.
I'm giving it a 9.8.
I'm giving it a 9.7 as well.
I'm only giving it a 9.7 because of the first half of the season.
Yeah,
Facts.
exactly.
What did
Second
you
half
give
of the
season
season is
2?
10 out of 10.
What did you give season 2?
9.7 as well, I'm pretty sure.
Briash? So you're saying this is not better than last season? That's foolish.
No, because the first half of this, I'll give it 9.8 as well.
No. The first half was generally worse than season 2.
Yeah.
It generally was.
We're rating the season as a collective.
Exactly. So you
And when we say worse, it was still really good.
Yeah.
It's like
In
when you compare
comparison.
it.
In comparison to how...
I agree with that.
I'd probably say a 9.71 because I'm not, I ain't the same as Ronnie or him. 9.7.
We're trying to be different.
Alright, how many episodes are in season 4? Bro, we're almost at the end, man. We're like...
I can't believe we're at season 4.
Beautiful journey.
It's been a great journey.
Season 4 is my favourite season, so...
It only ramps up.
Let's go, baby, let's
I think it's better, to be honest.
Let's go.
Okay, alright.
Let's get into it.